Eric Bird here at StopStrugglingNow.com. And I welcome to As a Nation Financial Friday Night Live Stream. Americans, that you're losing buying and emphasize to get your act together. And of course, we have solutions that can help you. So, struggling that year, check. And please like, subscribe, and click the bell below so you get us updated. Now, let's get to All right. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here. And welcome again to the SSN Nation Financial Friday Night Live Stream. Make sure you share the videos because you never know who's out here looking for information and you never know who's missing information. You know, the stuff that means a lot financially, because if you don't have the financials together, you may not have a roof over your head. You may not have food on the table for your basic needs. And that is what the problem is. Before I forget, we always have to support our own. Professor Auntie Val and family, she has her beachfront Java and tea. And remember, you can have iced coffee, iced tea. So make sure you put in your brain SSN Lifestyle, all capital letters. Why? Because when you buy from beachfrontjava.com, you receive a discount for life after your first order. Now, talking about this coffee, premium blended beans from the best regions where you grow coffee beans: Central America, South America, Indonesia, Africa. That's right. And come in half-pound packs all the way up to 5-pound packs. Fresh always. And you need to go to beachfrontjava.com. You have a Keurig, no problem. Keurig's available. You want fine ground for that espresso? No problem. It's there. You want the drip ground? No problem. Some of you say, well, I want to crush it up myself. Whole Beans has it. She has it as well. And then talking about tea, the healing power of tea, whether it's hot or cold, she has that. So go to beachfrontjava.com, use the promo code SSN Lifestyle to get a discount for life after your first order. All right. That was the first order of the day. Second order of the day. I want to bring up something that came out on MSNBC, financial updates. And that has something to do with the exact title for tonight. Americans are losing spending power, say researchers. Well, you guys who've been long-time listeners, podcast listeners, no matter where you're at, Facebook, Twitch, does not matter, Instagram, social media, YouTube. Again, we've been doing this for 6 years. Starts the 6th year right now. And the funny part about it is the whole time we've been talking about making sure that you get your credit right, because you're going to need credit, because Americans are losing their spending power, but we don't want you to actually use your credit. We just want you to have a high credit score. Then we talked about acquiring real estate inside of America, offshore, outside of America. So then you can make money regardless of the economies in 2 different locations. We've talked about the stock market, trying to get you into the dividend funds so that way you have passive income coming in. getting into the Airbnb market, short-term rental markets, so you'll have passive income coming in. You can have a job too. There's nothing wrong with that. But you need to make as much money possible because losing spending power is significant. That is the problem, ladies and gentlemen. So let me see who's in the house tonight. Make sure you let us know. And I'm going to start off with the salsa dance. Every Friday night, Friday is because YieldMax ETF holders, this is stocks, and Defiance ETF holders, you receive dividend payouts every Friday. I'm just saying. And some of them are not weekly payouts, but some are on the monthly payouts, but it's Friday. So the salsa dance, especially if you can get 2, 3, 4, 5% from your investment into a particular stock, that is winning. Just letting everybody know, because you're losing buying power, you have to always make more money. You can't sit idly by and think everything's going to be fine. Here it is on the screen. Most can no longer afford a minimal quality of life. In case you're new here, I've been saying for a few years, the American empire is declining. You live in a third world country, but you don't know it yet. And the only reason you don't know it is because we have something called credit that they'll allow you to spend 40 to 50% of your credit, available amount of money that you have, to go buy a house. The biggest purchase in most people's lifetime. And 50% of your wages are gone. Then you have to still live and deal with the cost of life, family issues. If you have children, you're going to have to raise them. This is money coming out of your pocket. You decide you want to join the Joneses and buy a nice fancy car. Or just a nice regular car these days costs $50,000 and up. And have a 700, 800, 900, over $1,000 in a monthly payment to add insult to injury. Right when you think you're getting ahead. Oh no, the insurance company says, no, we're going to charge you 2, 3, 4 times as much as we've charged you in the past for the remaining amount of money you want. And then the grocery store says, I'm sorry, we have a monopoly. There's really like 3 companies that control like 80 to 90% of the marketplace. So you will be buying. And there lies the rub for losing your buying power. It's very simple. It's not rocket science. So you know you need to make more money now. You can't wait for your boss to come in and pat you on the back and say, oh, good job, man. Let's go have a pizza party in the break room. No, no, no. I wish more Americans would do that. It's Friday night, ladies and gentlemen. It's story night. So I'm going to start off a story night because, you know, you guys, I used to actually have jobs a long time ago. And this was always one of my pet peeves, is you get the great job, team. Great job. You know what? We got pizza in the break room. And I'm like, who cares about pizza? Are we getting a raise or something? Because that's the only way I recognize a good job. And all of my coworkers, 90, I'll use 1 or 2, but 99% of the coworkers were happy with that. Ooh, we got pizza and a clap. And I used to be sitting there like, what is wrong with you guys? You guys they saying you're doing a good job. Don't you think instead of a pizza that we should be getting raises? Why are you acting like this is something with a big ass smile on your face? They're like, you don't want the pizza? I'm like, it's not even about the pizza. What is wrong with you? It was craziness to me, madness to me. That is part of the problem, complacency in America. And so most people did not care that they were losing paycheck increasements, losing, not being able to get promotions because they were happy to be at the job. That's the fatal problem with capitalism, which it's fatal for the workers, but it's not fatal for the owners, because the owners know they can pay you less and you're making them a lot of money. All right, just keep that in mind. Let's get into this, shall we? All I want to know is who's going to be getting that free passive income money. That's what I want to know. All right, let's go down this list. Let's go look and see what they're talking about, the minimal quality of life. Of course, they're showing the grocery store. You guys know what time it is. 2023, 11% of Americans officially lived in poverty, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. Well, now, you know the government's doing this, right? The government's doing this. You know it's more than 11%, I hope. Because if you're making $20,000 a year, you're living in poverty. If you're making 27,000, 30,000, you're living in poverty. You can't live anywhere in any state. First, we'll start with the bare minimum wage, right? You already know you can't live anywhere on minimum wage. You can't live anywhere under $10 an hour. 99% of places in America, you can't live for $10 an hour. You need to be over 25 just to make it in about 30% of the states. It's out of control. So you guys, when your government says we're printing more money, quantitative easing, we're actually needing people to buy bonds so we can print money out of thin air. And here we'll give you some loans, printing more money out of thin air. That causes inflation. So this 11% of Americans in 2023, they're not even telling you what 2025 is. It's higher than 11%, ladies and gentlemen. Go look it up yourself to find out how many people are living in what they call poverty. In fact, I won't even get into it. I'm going to let you guys do a little bit of research yourself. Now, here's the next sentence. Even more struggling financially, though, and the share may be higher than you think. If you're new here, and if you've been watching the channel, you guys know I remind everybody on every live stream that we do. 70% of the population is living paycheck. No, sorry. Does not have $1,000 in their bank account. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, 70%. 7 out of 10 Americans that you walk by. But they got the fancy car. They might have a decent house, nice house, but that's on credit, ladies and gentlemen. And because you're losing buying power, that's why 7 out of 10 Americans don't have $1,000 in the bank account. What's worse? 80% of the population is living paycheck to paycheck during the course of the month. 80% of Americans, not the world, Americans, living paycheck to paycheck. Now, you don't seem to think that's a problem, ladies and gentlemen? That in itself should tell you need to slow down and get rid of all of your frickin' liabilities if you can. As many liabilities as you can, ladies and gentlemen. Because this is Financial Friday Night live stream. Every time you're paying for liabilities, look at it this way. Every $1,000 could mean $150 a month for life. So when you're sitting out there thinking you have a 10-year car note for $1,000 per month, that's 120 months. 120 times 180. So you have a car that goes down in value. You're going to have to get a new one or a used one. but you could have been getting $2,000, $3,000 per month dollars in your bank account or less. You're going to have to start thinking like a CEO. You can't keep thinking like a worker, ladies and gentlemen, like a W 2 employee. You can be a W 2 employee, but you better recognize you're going to have to be in the CEO of your life business. You're going to have to make investments. Oh, that was crazy. We have a storm incoming, ladies and gentlemen. That was loud. That was not a weapon. That was lightning strikes. So, again, let me know what you guys are out here thinking. All right, let's keep going. What people are thinking about a real shared prosperity is not I can survive, but what does it take to live a middle class life? It's too late. It's too late. 7 out of 10 people don't have $1,000 in their bank account. That is middle class. 70% middle class. That's it. 80% of the population in America is living paycheck to paycheck. Middle class is wiped out. Upper middle class is wiped out. You only have the top 20% earners who have a little bit of money. And the upper middle class is about to be wiped out. Now, I don't want this for you because you're going to have to evolve. You're going to have to learn something new, ladies and gentlemen. All right? By the way, here's the new Harvard survey. 42% of younger Americans say they're barely getting by. Now, I don't know what younger Americans mean, but I'm assuming probably under 40. I'll get to that in a second. Now, LSIP developed a minimal quality of life index, which takes into account not only essentials such as food and shelter, but also the cost of living and fulfilling a life with the chance of upward mobility. See, therein lies the problem. Food costs in the model, for example, include occasional trips to casual restaurants as well as the cost of hosting an annual holiday meal. They're doing it like an ordinary citizen. A little bit of here, little bit of that, there. And you can see that's why this minimal quality of life index is bad. Very, very bad for you. All right? Look at this right here. I'm going to scroll down. Medical premiums rose 301% between 2001 and 2023. That's true. Travel expenses are up 170% over the last 20 years. Rent grew by 131%. Can you imagine? You started at a job in 2001 and your job paid you, we'll just say, $60,000 a year. Do you think, a show of hands, some of you know what I'm talking about, you're getting $60,000 a year in 2001, 2002, 2005. How many of you make $120,000 now? That's double. That's 100% more. And guess what? You would still be behind in rent by 30%. And this is what has happened in America. Nobody gets double what they were making 20 years ago. I guarantee you nobody's getting 120,000 working at the same place that they started for 60 grand. There's a very few people at the top that can make the 120,000. That's the problem. So all your coworkers are part, and if they work the same amount of years as you, only a few are going to be in that six-figure, mid $100,000 territory. So a lot of people are going to get left behind and hurt rent 131%, not 100%, 131%. So you would have to make $60,000 in 2001, 2002, and then you would have to make an additional 30% on top of the double. So in other words, you would have to make $140,000 to $150,000 to equal how much rent has increased. Don't even get into the home prices, because in 2001, a home generally was around $100,000 or less. That's it, 120 and under. And now the average price of a home, or not the average, the median price to buy a home is $426,000. That's the price of the home. Damn near 4 times the amount. Nobody's making 4 times their wage from 2001. I can tell you that right now. All right. I mean, I don't mean to say nobody. I just mean very few people, because you would have to be in upper management in order to reach that goal. All right. The cost of raising children, which includes saving for higher education, oh my God, grew by 100, a double again, ladies and gentlemen. Double. So if it costs $10,000 a year to go to a school, now it's 20. Parents, who's going to pay for this? Hey, here's the life hack. Some people are all too proud to be the janitor at Harvard, right? Speaking of Harvard, some people are too proud to be the landscaper at Harvard. Some people are too proud to be the servers at the restaurant on Harvard campus. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? The children of the workers at Harvard get to go to Harvard for free. Right? Just something to say. There's always a will, there's a way, and there's always a way in America, but you have to do something unconventional sometimes to help your family. Just saying. Here we go. Look at this. With wages failing to keep pace, finds that the consumer's real spending power decreased by 4% on average over that period. 4%. 4%. Ladies and gentlemen, seriously. That is deceiving, because there is no way that your spending power decreased by 4%. If you're talking to me about things have increased 100%, 131%, we know people they're not making more than double their salary. We also know that you can't math your way into putting something like 4% on average spending power decrease, because you know why? Because inflation is more than 1 or 2% every year. So if inflation is 3%, 2%, 5%, 7% over 20 years each year, then there's no way, because inflation means increased in value of goods that you have to purchase. So how can it be 4%? Whatever mathematical equation they're using, clearly it's wrong. There's no way that it's a losing power of only 4%, unless I'm misreading this. All right. Americans who fall short of minimal quality of life costs may sink into debt. That's what you do. That's why we have all-time record high of credit card debt for United States citizens here in America. And it keeps rising every month, because people have to use their credit cards to buy groceries, to buy little things that they're going to need, because they don't have the money. So of course that's going to go up. Focus on big 3 expenses. This is how they're saying how you can get back, right? Focus on that, because those big 3 expenses cost you a lot. Like, for instance, credit cards cost a lot, 20%, 27% or more. If you can pay that down and then shift it into a lower interest liability, then that extra money you would have would turn into money in your pocket. So that's what I'm talking about. I don't know what they're talking about, but focus on your big three expenses is correct. Look to boost your income. Well, welcome to the party. This is SSN Nation, ladies and gentlemen, because you're going to have to pay down your debt, build an emergency fund, invest in the future. Okay, this is standard issue stuff right here. If you're already living paycheck to paycheck, it's going to be very hard to build an emergency fund and pay down debt. So let's just get real. You're going to have to boost your income. That's it. That's the key to this whole thing. You're going to have to make more than your expenses, clearly, and you're going to have to make money that's going to allow you to make investments so you can get a return on your investment. All right? So once again, this is the status, ladies and gentlemen, that you need to figure out. You got 1 year, 6 months. That's me. Nobody's going to say anything like this because 1 year, 6 months, the upper middle class is going to be wiped out. And then it's going to be a free for all for the billionaires and millionaires and the people that control 70% of the wealth in the world. They're going to be able to take over because you're going to have to work for them. They can pay you whatever wage. You're going to have to buy the insurance or lack of insurance. Nobody's going to be saving you. So now you're going to have to turn on the no fear, no excuses gene in your body and start doing something. All right? Let's keep going, shall we? Because this grow income thing irritates me because that is necessary regardless. I don't know who would think you wouldn't have to do that. Let's go down. Are we done? Good. Because I don't like hearing that. Are you ready to buy a house? Okay, forget the liability. Okay, here we go. Boosting your income may mean asking for a raise. That's right. Don't be afraid to go ask for a raise. Workers who switched companies in May earned an average pay bump of 7%. All right, 7%, great. That's better than, hey, 7% more is still better than 0% more. All right, now here's for everybody that's I don't know if I can get this, but we're going to find out. This is for everybody who's out here thinking you can't do anything. Like I said, you just start with the bare minimums. Whatever extra streams of revenue you have, extra income, disposable income you have, instead of buying liabilities, you need to put it into a vehicle that gives you a return on your money every month, not once a year, every month. You really don't want the every 3-month dividend payouts. You want every month. All right. Now, I don't see anything on my channel under comments, but let me go over here and do something. Every now and then I have to do a few things. 42% of Americans under 30, ladies and gentlemen, say they're barely getting by financially. Under 30. Did I say? I said under 40, right? I knew it was going to be somewhere that, but it's down to under 30. Do you know what this means? I'm sure a lot of you probably are saying no. They're making less. What can we do about it? Okay, fair enough. But ladies and gentlemen, here's the situation. Boys and girls, men and women. You have this thing in America called taxes. Your taxes pay for services. You have this thing called pensions. Those pensions pay for your retirement after you have reached a certain age where you can retire from your job. And if your job has a pension. If you have 30% barely getting by, that could possibly mean less money in the coffers to pay for social services are not going to be sustainable because these 30-year-olds and under can't afford to go buy anything from your business or businesses. Employed is going to be reduced. So this is going to be a problem. Who's going to pay for it? Who's going to buy insurance? Who's going to be paying for anything if they're barely getting by? That means they have no disposable income for investments, There's not going to be money sitting in a bank for a bank to actually give out loans. It's going to be bad. And it's already working its way through our system because we live in a third world country, but you don't know it yet because we have a runway, because we can print money without any repercussions. We can give people bad credit with bad credit loans. So again, it's just a matter of time until there's an implosion. When is it going to be? 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 8 years from now. But I suspect sometime in the next 10 years. It's going to be like 1932, 33 all over again, like the Great Depression. All right. There's no way to get out of this. We can't borrow our way out. We can't get credit cards on our way out. There is nothing you can do. And the problem is we have companies who are charging people to have a vehicle 40, 50, $100,000 for trucks. It's crazy. What's going to happen when people can't buy these? There goes your assembly line. There goes the plants that employ 2, 3, 4,000 people. Where are they going to get a job that's unionized and pays 40, 50, 60 bucks an hour? You can see where this is going, I hope, ladies and gentlemen. So you better worry when you have 30 and under, they're not making money. That means you cannot build up anything if you are in a generation that lives paycheck to paycheck like you live in a third world country. All right. 2 in 5 people under 30 say they're either struggling to make ends meet or getting by with limited security. You're damn right. Exactly. It's just a survey. 50% of those not in college and without a degree. The likelihood of struggling financially drops for different levels of education. Like I keep telling you, this stuff about don't go to school, it's a problem. Okay, it's a double-edged sword. But here's the facts. 50% of those not in college and without a degree, 35% of current college students, 29% of college graduates. It's worth noting that college graduates tend to be in a stronger position than young adults who are still in school, since they're more likely to work full-time in roles that offer higher pay. This is true. But see, this is the Harvard. This is the if you go to Harvard, you got to, the Ivy League schools that you generally might find a higher paying job if that's true. All right. The Harvard poll's findings align closely with other recent research showing increased strain on Gen Z. Gen Z, generally defined as adults ages 18 to 28. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Credit One Bank, 39% of Gen Z adults said they feel stressed out about their finances. You're damn right. Because when you're in your 20s, you get paid less, but you can't withstand what's happening. So I just wanted to break this out. I'm not going to be on here too long tonight, ladies and gentlemen, but I just want to let you guys know that you have a limited time. If you're making 6 figures, you're going to get caught. What do I mean? You might be doing the 6-figure thing. I bought a nice expensive house. I got a nice car. I got monthly payments. You're going to be fine, but inflationary things are at force right now. The Federal Reserve should be reducing the rate by 0.25 in the next 45 days. All right? Once they do that, and all things being equal, that will create an uptick for the stock market. So if you're not in the stock market, you can't get free money. But that's the tip of the start of the iceberg. So if you have disposable income right now, you're part of the 6-figure club. The cost of living 3 to 4 years from now is going to be astronomical. Some people blame a president. Well, you can only blame a president when they're implementing some things. Things that are implemented now will affect you 2 to 5 years from now. So when they say there's going to be tariffs, that automatically puts a cost increase on everybody who buys products from this importer. American citizens are going to pay more. So if somebody says, which our president has said now, 10% tariff for this country, 50% tariff for this country, 25% tariffs for this country. That's 25% more to the American consumer. Just so you understand. So this isn't any 2% increase or 3% increase, which the government's going to say, oh, well, it's only 2.8% is the, that's a lie. They're not using the same metrics that you should be using, because if somebody says 25% more, the business is going to pass that on to the consumer. This thing about businesses eating it, since when have you known any, if businesses were eating any L's, then businesses wouldn't be making billions of dollars. They just would have said, oh yeah, we care about you. We're going to give you a livable wage then. We're going to give all of our employees a livable wage. That's what they would do. They would eat, they would take less profits. They wouldn't be taking billions of dollars in and making you work, having to live paycheck to paycheck. If that was the case, they would have just said, okay, we'll just take instead of 100 billion, we'll just make 30 billion. Everybody here in our factory, you guys are going to get a 10% raise. That's what would be the right thing, right? But clearly that's not what happens. That's not capitalism in America. Capitalism means you have to exploit your workforce. You have to pay them the least amount in order for you to make the most amount. It's a dichotomy that's not good for the average workers. All right. So you, ladies and gentlemen, you should be out here trying to get that passive income. What's somebody doing the salsa dance? You guys are members of the SSN Nation. That salsa dance means that the Yield Max, the Defiance Group, and some other stocks are giving out dividends that aren't even Yield Max. But these dividends are 15, 16% annually, 1% a month, 1.5% a month. All you have to do is start running the numbers, because some people they go, well, I have 20,000 to invest. I have 30,000 to invest. You're telling me I can make like $5,000 per month? Right. Can you imagine? What if they would have told all these kids, or the parents of the kids, hey, if your child by the 0 to 18, if they had like $30,000 that you invested for them, it'd be worth 65 or 70 grand by the time they're 18, and it could actually be earning $1, $2, $3, $4,000 per month for them. See, that's the thing. But of course they can't say these things because they need workers. You need people that do not believe in themselves. They don't need competition. They need workers. The more people that become business savvy, that's competition to the establishment. So therefore, they can't do anything. And this fake thing about we're going to give certain people $1,000 to help with the child care. I'm like, $1,000, really? Even if you did $1,000, even if you earned 10% per year, because they're going to match it up to the index. Indexes basically get around 8 to 9% a year. So you're going to tell me first year 1,000, I'll be generous. 1,000, we'll do 10%. 1,010. The next year, 1,021. Really? Come on. 3 years in, 1,033 or 34. Really? By the time the kid is freaking 18, seriously, you're going to be talking to me about 20, 13, 1,400 bucks after inflation of 3, 4, 5, 6% has kicked in as well? Are you serious? Buying power would be worthless. Just like right now, $1,000 in 2000 bought more than $1,000 does now. So do you really think 9% is going to be adequate, acting like they're doing something to help citizens? Come on. It's smoke, it's mirrors, and it's BS. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to open up accounts in your kids' names, add a little bit of money in there, and do not get 9%. Inflation is 9%. In fact, inflation, they said, is 2.8, 2.1, something, 2.5. How can inflation be that if you have tariffs of 25, 10%, 50%? That alone is ridiculous, right? So clearly you can't rely on government information such as inflation is 2 or 3% when everybody knows things do not go up just 2 or 3%. Let's get real. All right. I'm going to make this short tonight because, once again, Americans, which are you, are losing buying power. You better buy assets that pay you. Assets here in the SSN Nation are assets that mean when you buy it, it pays you. And we're not talking about 10 years later, 5 years later. We're talking about pay you now. Every month, every week, every 3 months. Pay. Profits coming in the door for something you invested in. We don't want you invested in something and no money comes. That's not going to do you any good in your future. So I implore everybody that watches this live stream, watches it in replay, whatever, you got to reduce your expenses, get extra revenue, even if it's an extra 15, 20, 30 bucks. That is worth something to invest in so you get a return without having to work for it. It's a must. It's mandatory because this chain that has already been created for your destiny, if you're under 30, under 35, there's a destiny that's going to come in the next 35 years when you get to be anywhere from 55 to 60, 70. The world's going to be a whole different place financially. America will probably have lost most of everything at that point, meaning the rich will get richer. The poor, which is everybody, 80%, are going to get poorer because you're not going to be able to pay more. So that means you're going to have less. There's no way around it. It's already been in stone. It's written. Nobody can save you. And best believe no billionaire, no millionaire can save you. They can talk a good game because they own corporations. So you are the buying public. So you're always going to go, the money's always going to go up to the owners of business. You, on the other hand, you don't have that luxury because you can't walk in your employer's office at HR and say, hey, inflation was 8% this year. Am I going to get a raise of 8%? Just to match, just to stay even. And you're already living paycheck to paycheck, so even is not even good. So in order to get ahead, you would have to say, well, hey, can I get like 13, 14% so I can get inflation is 8%. I need to make an additional 5% just to get some more breathing room, so to speak. Who's going to get a 13% raise? Shadowstats.com, ladies and gentlemen, shadowstats.com. America and countries actually do the equations for their inflation rates. They come up with a new way to do it. Shadowstats.com uses the old way when the government was more transparent. They used the old way before 1980. So then you'll find out why you're living paycheck to paycheck once you realize and wake up and realize your government's lie to you. And so then, therefore, when you see 2.8% year over year, you're sitting there like, wait, let me go to shadowstats.com. What's it say? Oh, wait, what's this? 11%? It would make sense to you then because now you're going, well, if it's 11%, that means everything I get paid is negative 10%. So I'm going negative 10%. If I don't get a raise of 12%, that means Think about in 2 years, ladies and gentlemen, you could be 15% to 20% down, getting a raise of 2 or 3%. So you're giddy, but in reality, you're down 15 to 20% on your buying power. But it doesn't seem like it to you, and you act accordingly. All you can do is complain, but you're going to get caught because if it maxes yourself out, 80% are living paycheck to paycheck during the month. You're already maxed out. So the problem is if you can get a little extra streams, if you can sometime during the month throw some money into something that gives you money back, that is a start. Because ultimately, if you get enough money back, then you can start going, well, you know what? I get $500 a month now. I can actually use, instead of reinvesting, I can actually use like half of that, 250, and use it for bills. When you're living paycheck to paycheck, $250 extra is major. That's food and any other expenses that can be paid off without you having to work for it. That's what you're going to have to do now, ladies and gentlemen. There's no sitting on the sidelines. There's no, I can't learn to do something. You better learn to do something extracurricular wise. Otherwise, what's going to happen? Now, in about 3 years, you got 1 year and 6 months, and I'm going to help you this 1 year, 6 months. Again, let me see if I can put something down below in the description box. Let me see. Let me get this off screen too. I want to get this off. I'm going to, what's happening here? You have problems. Look like we don't have anything on the screen. Oh, there we go. You have debt problems. So what does that mean? What does that mean is you can actually get help with your debt. You can have it restructured. You can have it where the debt is lower long as you get it restructured. And now, can you imagine if you had debt of, let's just say, $1,000 per month, and somehow you can restructure it where you're paying half of that or a third of it, and that frees up $600 or $700, which would be disposable income, which now means just keep living your paycheck to paycheck life, but now you're buying assets that pay you back. You know how powerful that would be for you? Well, again, down below in the description box, there's going to be something there for you. It's going to be a way to improve your credit score because you're going to need a 775 and up in a year and 6 months. I highly suggest you get to 775 as fast as you can. I know it's going to be hard. That means you would have to reduce most of your debt in order to do it. So you want to recession-proof yourself? You're going to have to buy or be able to buy assets that pay you. Now, not in the future, not wait. You have to do it now, ladies and gentlemen. I fear for everybody out here in America. The majority of people, 80% of the population, is already at its financial stressed level. So, what are you going to do about it? You're going to sit here and continue to do the same thing day after day, or are you going to actually figure out a way to make investments? You're going to have to, and unfortunately, you're going to have to put yourself, some of your money at risk. But back to helping you. I'm going to put down in the description box, Tracy at Resolve Finance. That's an email address, TRACY at resolvefinance.com if you want to get your debt reduced quickly. And yes, you're going to have a little pain, but at least the money you owe can be restructured just like you're a corporation. What's wrong with that? Anything wrong with that? Think about it, what I just said, just like you're a corporation. What's wrong with that? I don't think there's a problem with that. And you can be out of it in 1 year and a half to 2 years to 2.5 years. And back on your merry way. You restructured, got your credit back in check, got your debt back in check. and it takes a short amount of time in the overall arch of everything. And you want to clear off your debt one way or another. All right? Think about it. Think about it. I'm going to put a link down below so it's right there so you can fix your credit up, get things, done, because that's going to be major. If you have 80% living paycheck to paycheck and somebody comes to you and says, hey, we can restructure your finances, your debt, your expenses, and you pay 50 or 60% of it. So now, can you imagine, like I said, most people have thousands of dollars worth of debt. Can you imagine restructuring it and maybe cut it in half? That would be great. Or even if they cut it 40%, that would be great. Because now you've freed up liquid money and you're fixing things. So you would be in a better position. That's why Tracy at Resolve Finance, let her know you're from SSN Nation. Because otherwise, you're going to get left behind, ladies and gentlemen. All right. The link is down below in the description box. In case you have any questions, you can always do that. You can watch a video when she was on. That's right. And she was on a live stream. So there's a link that you can go check it out when she came on a while back. Then I got to talk about Matthew Lesko came on as well. And the question was, what about these grants that you can get for people and things? People need money. They need help with medical. They need help with myriad of things, transportation, who can be a dentist. I mean, a lot of things. So you go to findhelp.org. It's free to go check out and make the phone calls. These nonprofit organizations get funding from states and federal government to help people out for a reduced amount. Oftentimes it's at no cost to you. So keep calling. Sometimes they'll say, well, it costs you a little. Other people will say, no, we have grants. Come on in. We can help you out with, you need money for rent. We have a program. I mean, there's several things that can help out. You need transportation somewhere. We have free service. You need a caregiver. We can have a caregiver come to your place for a couple times per week. All different types of things that people need. So check that out. Make sure you do that. But also make sure you have a brokerage account, because the quickest way to make money, obviously now, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're going to have to find your way to dividend funds or stocks that you can buy that go up in value faster than inflation, and a way to continue to receive dividend money passively every month or every week. You have to put yourself in play. All right. Hopefully I'm putting together a nice live stream for those to let you guys know it's urgent. 1 year, 6 months. You have to have everything in order where you're going to be able to get your credit. Because if you don't have the money, then you need the credit, right? 775 gets you 7075 and up, puts you in a great category where people are offering you, get this credit card, 0% interest for 18 months. That's what's been coming lately. Can you imagine buying something on a credit card then having 18 months at 0% interest? That's an easier way than 20% interest or 27% or 30% interest, right? So that's why you need a 775 credit score. All right. And up. Work on it for 2 years. I have some tools down below in the description box that's going to help you. You got to get a brokerage account. If you don't want to use Fidelity, E-Trade, Schwab, then you can use Robinhood, Webull, and Moomoo. The links are down below in the description box. Okay? So hopefully that helps you out. Hold on. I have some things down here. Double? Or do I? Hold on. Hold on. I think I messed up. Let's see here. Yeah, I did mess up a little bit. It's all right. I'm doing some cleanup on aisle 5 in the background, so forgive me, but it's all good. All right, that's what I was looking for. So there we go. All right. Now, I'm going to end this live stream. Hopefully, I've made my point for the Friday night live stream for everybody. hopefully you guys understand what I'm saying. And thank you so much for being here. Now, if my screen has been frozen, that turns this into a podcast on iHeart and iTunes. But hopefully, you guys can see me on the screen and it didn't mess up. But again, uh, let me, like right now, just so you guys know, I do short term rentals in case you're new here watching. And right now, I got a request for May 22nd through May 25th in Napa. Now, I raised the prices, and it's 3 nights in Napa. Next year, it could be Memorial Day weekend, but or not. But let's say it is. They have the Bottle Rock Music Festival, and it's always like May 20 something of the month. May 22nd through the 25th is next year. 3 nights. So most of the time, and this place is in a little mobile home, so to speak. It's a studio unit. How much can you charge for a studio unit during Bottle Rock? Well, how about $650 per night? And people will pay it because I have a request right now. Why can people pay this? Is because they know that the venue, the accommodations, the hotel, the timeshare, the condo, they know that they're charging people for the same unit. Get this. Can you believe people are going to pay $2,000 per night? Some of you would go, Eric, then why aren't you charging $1,400 per night or $1,200 per night? Well, I like karma because this $650 a night is also a crazy price for 3 nights. So we're going to end up with 2 reservations. When somebody gets the 1 bedroom, they're going to pay over 2,000 something dollars for 3 nights. So out of a 6 night package, there's going to be roughly $4,000 made. That's not going to be complete profit, but that's significant for just 6 nights. Again, this is passive income that I was already going to be booked in for next year. Think about it. These are the little tricks that you need to do. Is it a trick? No. But these are the investments that you have to make so you can make money and continually be able to make money without having to work for it at a significant rate. So if you can make $1,000, $2,000 profit or $3,000 profit, that's a nice little profit that you can make doing a side hustle or a different business. Even if it is once a month or once every 2 months, at least that's money that's coming in that you don't have. So you have to be a business person eventually. 80% of you have to figure out how to make extra money. Some people opt in and say, I'm not a business person, so I'm going to try and find a second job. Good luck, because again, your jobs are always capped. I don't see anybody here in the comment section all night. So again, I know there's a problem somewhere. But so forgive me if I can't see your message. All right. There's a reason. It's not coming through. But what I want to say, you're going to have to, even if you work in a W-2 job, you go, I'm going to get a second job. That's nice. But the problem is the cost of living is going to continue to rise. So even with your second job, inflation comes to get you. So if inflation is really 10%, now your first job, you're already living paycheck to paycheck. You have a second job, but now your second job has to cover that extra 10%. And every year you're going to have to cover 15%. Then it's 20%. Then it's 23% by year 4. And how tired are you going to be doing 2 jobs for 4 years? you're missing out on a whole lot of things if you have children working 16 hours a day, and to and from job take another hour each direction, 45 minutes. So really you're at 18 hours with 6 hours to sleep, eat, and pay attention to who. That's not a great life, but that's where we're heading, ladies and gentlemen. So I implore you to get in on the SSN Nation playbook. And down below in the description box, if you haven't got around to joining our social media platforms, please do so. Story night tonight is the fact that you're going to have to stay focused. You can't play around any longer. There's no breathing room for anybody who's in the below upper middle class. You do not have the time to waste with getting additional expenses, additional liabilities. So I love you guys very much. I thank you so much for your support over all these years. And we're going around. I know I don't know when the birthday is, but let's call it birthday around now, 6 years. Thank you so much. Going on to 7. So I want to thank you all for being here. Smash the like button on the way out. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. Click the all notification bell. And please like, subscribe, and click the bell below so you get the latest updates. Now, I know it's hard out here, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to get harder. Inflation is no joke. Insurance prices going up. Food prices going up. There's no way around it. Your insurance on your car going up. Insurance on medical going up. Insurance on your house going up. Or if you can't get insurance, now you're naked. Can't get insurance on your house, now you're naked. If there's some disaster, not only do you lose your house, now you can't fix your house because you're living paycheck to paycheck. You don't have insurance. That's even a worse scenario. Even if you have insurance, insurance companies don't want to pay out, which is just as bad. So either way, you're at the mercy. So you have to insulate yourself. Start thinking about protecting yourself even more so you may not have to pay additional monies, right? Out of your pocket, get additional expenses. You're trying to reduce your expenses. Unfortunately, as things get older, it's going to have to be repaired. And that's the way of the world. And unfortunately, repairs are not cheap. That is the problem. All right. I didn't get much into stories, but I will say this. If I'm in Vegas and the World Series of Poker is still going, then I'm probably going to be on a podcast for poker. I'll let you guys know. I won't be running it myself unless they allow me to put my camera up or something. But I'll probably be talking to some old friends, talking about some poker stuff in Vegas. And it'll be very, very interesting because it's not about poker. It's about money management. See, this is the one thing with poker. It teaches you money management because you can't just play willy-nilly. What do I mean by willy-nilly? If you go into something, I'll use cash games, all right? Let's say you're playing cash games and you bring in $2,000 to play in the game. And let's just say you only have $30,000 as a bankroll. Well, if you lose the 2,000, some people would say, well, willy-nilly. Well, it's only $2,000. I still have another $28,000 left. Okay. But here's the problem. If your win percentage is 40%, 4 out of 10 times, then can you really lose 4 times 2,000 if that's your normal game? Can you really lose 8,000? Leaving yourself 22,000, and also you have to live somewhere. You have to pay expenses for where you live. So if you're not making money and your bankroll is 30 grand or 40, it doesn't really matter. Now you're going to have to take some of your bankroll money to pay your expenses. See, that's why poker is very treacherous. Because if you go on an L streak, a losing streak, so to speak, it's not like losing all the time. But if you are losing, three sessions, you're taking L's, then you have to go, okay, my bankroll is this. Now I have to go into a different game, lower stakes game, if you're playing cash games, because you only have X amount of your bankroll left. Now, I won't even go into the expense portion, but if you're doing 4 out of 10 sessions, you win. Now it goes by how much do you win? That's the other side of the coin. It's not good enough to enter for $2,000, but are you making another $2,000, another $3,000, another 1,000? What are you making in order to keep your bankroll and pay your expenses? And that's where people get caught, just like in real life. You have expenses, you only have X amount of money coming in. Therefore, what's going to happen? If your expenses all of a sudden rise and you have not enough income, same rules apply. So that's why, based on your bankroll, is what you're going to enter into a game if you're doing cash games. So if you had 100,000, now you're going to enter into different games at your skill level. You don't want to enter into high stakes games. You could have 100,000. You can enter into a game where your buy-in is, let's just say you come to the table, you get a 25, 50, 25, I'll call it, right? So then you're sitting there going, okay, I need 20 times. I need $10,000 to enter the game. $10,000, 10% of your bankroll of 100 grand. That's probably too big of a game for you. All right. So therein lies where the problems come in. You learn to actually stay within your means if you want a long career in poker. That's what you have to do. You always have to stay within your means. Otherwise, you're going to not be playing at all because you will go broke. Because you can't win 100%, 90%, 80%, 70%, 50% of the time because you're playing other great players. So you have to keep that in mind. All right. Well, that's going to end it tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here. Just make sure you stay within your means and invest. That's what you're going to have to do. Get the extra streams of revenue. You got 1 year, 6 months to complete the assignment if you decide to accept it. It's not mission impossible. It's an impossible mission if you don't do anything. You have to do something now. You can't wait. Israel is sending rockets to Iran. Iran retaliating. Middle East war breaks out. Oil prices are going to go higher. They're going to take advantage of you and increase the gas prices. Incoming. Count on it. Be the CEO of your life, and you're going to have to get into the no fear, no excuses mode. These t-shirts are available at stopstrugglingnow.com, by the way. All right. And with all that said, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And keep your head up. Keep moving. And I'm out.